to us that it was canceled.
Well, when did it get?
Got 4 minutes still. Well, I've been
A week
here
or two
since
ago?
before
Because
6.
we just had a back and
Waiting
forth
to get
with,
in.
putting the approval for the new appointee on that.
Hey, look, we're all here.
I'll double check.
Double check for me. Let me know. Text me or something. If I'm supposed to be there.
All right.
Because I don't think, none of us,
Maybe,
There's only 8. It should be 9.
I could have sworn, I just
is it out
an
there?
email today.
It might be out there.
I'll check it out.
I'd be the last. Oh, I'd be the last. No, I'd just think he is.
Good. Month of it. A lot going on.
I've been pretty busy. Girls made me start coaching again.
Self-death, Byron.
Well, you know, the kids are out for the summer and going. Some are going back. My last morning practice was yesterday. Mowed grass today.
Okay.
Moved along the road, you know.
Okay.
Hey, Gary, canceled the September 30th. I thought I was.
You know, think about it. I keep
Actually, they're doing that simply because Bill and
It
Janine.
looks like every little white flower, you know, I got out there in the
Yeah.
fields, you know. You know what I mean?
That one they did.
Okay. So I thought that meant July. I wasn't paying attention. That's why I went and looked at.
I love like.
Well, I bet we don't have a quorum.
I mean,
I would think that
Yeah,
would
it
know.
just, I mean, I don't
Haven't
remember
heard
my
that.
email today.
I mean, I've told
just
them
count
my whole
emails,
life. I mean,
25 emails
you
there.
know, I looked on that.
Oh, yeah.
To my
That's
50
just
my regular email, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got to add it back to my calendar.
Hey, Gary, keep him in
it
mind.
is a little 60.
You know what? It's hard to do. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to help him, guys.
You almost had me convinced, though.
Really? I didn't see that email.
President.
All right, I canceled my September one. Put the July one back.
Do we have an agenda? Who wants one, or do we need to copy more?
Yeah, that's what, that's well spaced in. This email, yeah.
And then if you have 3, they can request not.
Yeah.
That rarely happens. You know what I mean? Most of the time they go ahead and.
Got this new
Worst
gavel.
case,
Can I
it's
take this
cheaper
one
than
home
that.
and make it my whoopee? Yeah,
I could buy
souvenir.
you one if you'd like.
Souvenir. Yeah, I think this has been around longer than Bill Bolander.
Nobody's been here longer than Bill Bolander.
Maybe I ought to drop this off at his house. Bouncing himself off the head with it or something. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. The July 22nd meeting of the Hancock County Area Plan Commission. Please be advised that our meetings are now recorded both audio and video per the current state requirements. We ask that everybody please turn off their cell phones, electronic devices, other noisemakers. Our first order of business this evening is the adoption of our previous meeting minutes submitted electronically.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to approve the June meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Yeah, that's right, you weren't here. All right, all testimony this evening is being recorded as noted, and you'll be taken under oath. Anyone wishing to speak only does so when called upon. We ask that when you come up, you face our attorney to my left to be sworn in before speaking. All persons speaking will be asked to give their full name for our record and spell the last name so we have accurate meeting minutes. And please speak directly into the microphone so that all the recording is clear. Kayla will be giving her staff report, and then the petitioner is given 10 minutes for their presentation. That's then followed by 10 minutes for a collective 10 minutes for the remonstration, if there is any. We then offer 5 minutes to government officials that would like to speak, and then concluding with 5 minutes for petitioner's rebuttal. Our attorney gives a 2-minute and a 1-minute warning, and we ask that everybody please conduct themselves in a civil manner, and then anybody that can't do that, we reserve the right to ask you to leave. We have a basically full board. We have 1 vacant seat now, so we do have we have 8 this evening, so that's good. All right, first order of business, item number 1 was a rezone in Brown Township. It appears it was withdrawn. I don't know that we need a motion to accept that withdrawal, or is it just withdrawn? So,
But,
yeah, I think we've, yeah, if anybody'd like to make a motion, let's just do it for the record that we are accepting the withdrawal of item 1.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to accept the withdrawal of item number 1, rezone in Brown Township. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That brings us to item number 2, a minor subdivision Lot 1 replat appeal.
So, once again, this body will be acting as the plat committee tonight in any decision that it makes. This is an appeal of a minor subdivision on Lane Road in Township, on the screen. Before we get too far into this, I'll show you the timeline here real quick. In June, this was approved by the technical committee with comments from the county surveyor and health department, and it proceeded through plat committee as well in June. And then in late June, we received notice and letters from several of the neighbors. So that's the timeline for this. The letters were included with your staff report and letters of remonstrance. Since then, we have received a letter from an attorney representing one of the neighbors, or at this point, I believe the group of neighbors. And I think he is here tonight to represent this. I would add that a letter was sent to an incorrect email on Friday. I did not receive it until today, early this morning. So that letter did not make it through to the link and officially did not make the 48-hour in advance notice for written materials that you receive. It is a well-written document outlining the appellant's case for why they're appealing this subdivision. So I would say if you would like another month to review that and for Rhonda to review that document, that might be something you could consider as well. It is included in your documents. We copied it and included it in, wait. We did not, because it didn't make the 48-hour notice. But the attorney is here tonight to give you a report of what was in that letter if you choose to move forward that way.
What the letter contained in terms of who wrote it?
An attorney.
An attorney did, okay, that's what I want to know.
How would you like me to proceed?
So there was another item that one of the remonstrance letters was referencing some sections of the covenants for the original plat, which wasn't included either, which would have been good information.
Actually, I went and pulled them and gave it to her in advance, so
Okay.
it is included. You can review it because I gave it to her in advance beyond the 48 hours. So I went and pulled it for her.
But at the same time, we can't review it tonight.
Yeah, you can.
It's right here.
It's right here. Yeah, you can review that.
I mean-
I gave it beyond the 48 hours to their office.
But it wasn't included in our packets.
Yeah.
I don't think. What I found in my
Well, it's a
packet, it wasn't.
massive, the paper's like that big.
Well, I know, but I mean, to be fair with the remonstrance letter, it referenced some specific sections that I didn't see, so. So I guess the question would be, do you want to hear Kayla's presentation and hear from the appellant tonight and then make a decision to proceed or continue? Or would you just like to continue based on wanting to read this?
I would prefer just to hear, all 8 of us are here, to hear what the people that are here, they've taken the time to come here today, hear what they have to say, and then we continue.
Make a
it,
decision.
and
Make a decision.
Make a decision next month, and if somebody has something new to give, then we'll be happy to listen to it.
Okay.
I agree with that.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just proceed, and maybe we'll be so moved to do something. So.
All right, so moving forward then. So the minor subdivision of this particular property divides it into 2 pieces. As you can see, Lane Road curves around this property and gives it frontage on 2 roads. It is zoned R2.5, which means it is has a smaller residential lot standard than, say, our agricultural lots tend to. Because it had ample road frontage, it was a fairly easy property for the plat committee to say that this was an appropriate use of the property in the correct zoning district, had good access to public infrastructure, meaning the road, and also met the acreage requirements for a lot zoned R2.5. Each lot, I believe, is about 2+ acres. I believe overall it's an 8-acre parcel. Excuse me if I'm wrong about that. I would have to check the acreages. But they definitely meet the minimum. Early on, one of the neighbors, Sue Mills, who was the first to appeal the project, came in and pointed out a covenant, which does state that each lot may only have 1 home on it. So that's basically what it says, is each lot can only have one of these, one home. That's it. And the interpretation that the neighbors had of that was that meant that there can never be subdivision of this property for an additional lot to be created where an additional home could be placed. We had a respectful conversation and discussed that our planning department and our plat committee feel had been different, that it had actually been, they were creating an additional lot and therefore could place an additional residence on that lot. So this was a legal way to accomplish that. We also discussed that while there may be covenants, the planning department does not get involved with covenants. We operate through our zoning ordinance. Sorry, here's the plat. As you can see, Lot 1A is 2.069 acres, and Lot 1, which has the existing home on it, is 5.199 acres. And this is a supplementary sheet, so it also shows where the potential well would go, and septic field, and potential drainage easement. This is the part of the document that our technical committee tends to lean on. So as you know, the plat committee has, the technical committee reviews the plat and recommends approval to the plat committee if the following criteria are met. The subdivision will not impede normal and orderly development of improvements of the parcel or surrounding properties. Necessary and adequate utilities and drainage facilities have or are being provided. Adequate measurements will be taken to provide adequate measures. Subdivision will not be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, or general welfare. And the subdivision will not create more than one lot served by a private drive. When the plat committee then reviews that, they look to find that all pertinent sections of the zoning and subdivision control ordinance have been met. That is when the plat committee may grant primary plat approval, and then the final plat approval is approved administratively by the planning department. When all changes that were noted by the plat committee and the technical committee have been finished. And typically these are 3 lots or less every time. That's a minor subdivision. So just to clarify too, a minor subdivision, all it does, we went through this recently with another petition as well, it splits land. It takes one lot, it makes it into 2 or 3. So that is the goal of a minor subdivision process. It doesn't say you have to do anything with that land, it simply divides it. Now, could the petitioner sell one of these parcels and could another home be built on it? There's nothing that would stop the planning and building department at this point from allowing that, because our ordinance allows for that. So I guess with that, my recommendation, like it was the first time, is approval of this minor subdivision plat. It meets all standards put forth by the zoning and subdivision control ordinances, and we do not see a reason to hold it up. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Do you have any questions for me?
I just have one. What deference typically are we giving to covenants?
Really, none.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I drove by there, and across the street, there's a nursing home and hospital.
Yes.
Is that allowed in that zoning area?
Dawn, do you know the history of that?
Okay. Otherwise, it's all residential with cornfields and soybean fields there. And then industrial, once you get to the 700.
All right, we bring the petitioner up.
Petitioner or the appellant?
It's the petitioner because
It's-
we're acting in
yeah,
the
it's the
shoes of the plot
petitioner.
committee.
Yeah, so it'd be the petitioner.
I was ready one way though.
We'll do enough of these, I'll finally get the drill.
Are you both going to speak?
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'll swear you both in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and spell your
My
last
name's
name.
Mike Gibson, Gibson.
Clark Giles, Giles, Giles Law Group.
Minutes.
Okay. Well, good evening. As Kayla mentioned, this plat's been through Tech Committee, Plat Committee, and we've met all of their requirements, and we feel that the plat meets the ordinance. Property zoned R2.5, platted in 2001, was the Beck's second minor subdivision. We are requesting replatting of Lot 1 into 2 lots, Lot 1A and 1B. Lot 1 would be Lot 1A would be 2.069 acres. Lot 1B would be 5.199 acres. Dedicating 3/4 of an acre to the county for right-of-way. Zoned R2.5, as I mentioned, 14,000 square foot if it was served by sewer and water. So get many more lots in there if sewer and water was available. So I think we meet that density. Lot 1A will front on Lane Road to the north. Lot 1B will continue to front on Lane Road to the east. 1A, as you noticed in the map, is all woods. I think that's important because one of the remonstrators or appealers, the south line of Lot 1A, as we have shown, is 265 feet north of the Mills property, their north line. It's all woods, and mind you, that would be nearly a football field of woods. So the buffer is pretty good there. So whether you see a new home or not from that parcel, probably not. Spoke to Phil Going, a surveyor local here in the county. He was the one that helped Mr. Beck plat this. And one of the appeals letter mentioned that there was a commitment made or written covenant that these lots wouldn't be subdivided any further. And that's not the case on the covenants, or there was no commitment made that Philip remembers back when this plat went through the process in 2001. As far as the covenants go, I know I'm not within that 48 hours, so I can't hand you this document, but I can show you. I researched today, and there's at least 2, and I've got a line of 1,000 plats that I go through, but I try to remember back 25 years ago which ones we did in that time frame. But there's a subdivision in Green Township called Happy Acres. It was 6 lots. It has the same covenant on it. There's another Hunter's Run, which is on 300 North between 7 and 800 West. I think there's 26, 30 some lots in there. It has the same covenant on there. If my memory serves me right, that covenant was a generic covenant that would go along with most plats. But we all know that even if it's a platted lot or a meets and bounds parcel, you can only put one house on it anyway unless it's subdivided. That's why we're here today. We asked for your approval to this project. We feel that we've met all the ordinances, went through all the processes that we normally do. If I have any questions, I'd be happy to ask.
I know the answer to my question, but I don't think anybody else up here does. Is this a minor subdivision or a major subdivision?
It's a replat of a minor subdivision. The plat was originally done in 2001, so January 1st, 2002 was that new date of the new ordinance, and anything prior to that was a lot of record or grandfathered in. And these 2 lots fall behind that date. So, yeah.
So we don't need to give deference to the covenant, but you're offering us testimony that it was standard language, just included in documents, but there could be reasonable reliance on it. So either way, I just don't think that people can read it and when they're purchasing, reasonably rely upon that. I don't mind that, but what are you going to do about this covenant? Like, if we're not doing something, are you taking care of the issues there?
Yeah, our plat that we're hoping to get approved states that the covenants for the new replat will abide by the covenants that are the previous Beck's second minor subdivision. So we've got that stated with that instrument number on the covenant.
Okay. All right, any more questions? Oh, all right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and do we have somebody up from the appeal side that'd like to speak?
You have 10 minutes total, so did you want to split that time, or are you the only
I
speaker?
did. I believe there's probably other people here that I may not represent, and I'm going to keep my comments very short.
How many people would like to speak this evening on the appeal side?
No, okay.
Nope,
I guess
you
I'm
get
the
it
only
all.
one then. I promise I won't take 10 minutes of your time, though. Do I need to be sworn in?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm, under the penalty of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, thank
Please
you.
state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Yep, Evan Norris, Norris. I'm with the law firm of Drury Simmons Vornum in Carmel. That's 736 Hanover Place. Mr. President and members of the commission, thank you tonight for allowing me to speak to you. I represent a collective group of neighbors called the Lane Road Neighbors, which consists of Jeff and Marcy Corns, Todd and Florence Lohman, as well as Jay and Susan Mills, who are also residents of the Beck second minor subdivision. The purpose of tonight is so that we can bring our formal objection to the Beck's minor subdivision Lot 1 replat petition. We ask that this area planning commission deny the petition due to its adverse impacts on the community. Very quickly, first and foremost, I want to talk about these restrictive covenants, which have been recorded on the property as instrument number 01-164, which restricts each lot to one single family dwelling and one accessory building on the lot. It's the neighbor's position that this replat would violate the covenants by allowing an additional dwelling, and they firmly believe that it's the intent and the spirit of the covenants was to preserve large rural tracts of land in this particular area, and that the covenants were silent as to subdividing and implying in a sense that it wasn't intended by the original grantor to that these lots would be subdivided. The way that the lots are laid out, I think it makes sense. And that's the way that these neighbors who have lived there for 20 plus years believe that it was intended to be interpreted at the time. If you look at aerial views of the subject site, you can see that it, as pointed out by Mr. Woolbridge, that it is agricultural, and these are large rural sites which are being slowly engulfed by industrial from other aspects and other large neighborhoods. I want to direct the Commission's attention to ordinance number 115-21-1, which talks about, again, which Director Brooks read at the beginning of this, which is the procedures for the technical committee and some of the weight that can be given to the replat of a minor subdivision. It's the neighbor's position the petition would disrupt the character of the Lane Road area, and there's a risk of a domino effect, and that other owners may seek similar subdivisions, increasing the density in this rural characteristic area. The area is already under pressure from subdivisions and industrial and commercial growth in the area, and they wish to keep it as rural as they can in the surrounding community. And we believe, or the petitioners believe, or excuse me, the remonstrators believe that the petition is incompatible with surrounding development patterns. Second, I want to point out that the same ordinance, the same review procedures of the technical committee under section 21 talk about a detriment to public health, safety, and welfare. I believe that anytime that you add something else to a portion of a community, you're going to get an increase in traffic and congestion on rural roads that were not designed for the intake of this type of density. If you look at the way that the roads are laid out in this particular area, they are narrow, they are county roads, which of course the addition of any additional construction vehicles or any passenger vehicles for that matter will of course have a detrimental effect on the neighboring roads. They're worried about the maintenance burden that this places on our county officials who take care of these roads. Again, the loss of the rural aesthetics and the tranquility. Your ordinance also gives deference to or discussion about along the same lines with public health and safety. This is a heavily wooded lot, as was brought about by the petitioner when he discussed the football field length of heavily wooded forests. Of course, the removal of trees and vegetation has some sort of impact on the natural environment, and it disrupts the natural habitat. It may also provide for an increase in runoff and erosion in certain areas. And we believe that the way that the ordinance is written, that you should give due regard to the natural resources in the area and the effect that this minor replat may have on that. Again, as discussed, there's going to be a strain on local infrastructure, especially roads, which are not equipped for this type of density. And we talked about, again, the parcel is densely wooded and serves as a wildlife habitat, and the tree removal will lead to an ecosystem disruption and erosion and a negative impact on the neighboring property owners, especially in particular the Corns, who live directly across the street, who don't have the benefit of 265 feet of wooded lots. They are directly across the street, and they will be forced to because of the way that the county's ordinance are written, in particular with regard to drainage and erosion measures that need to be taken. Those trees are going to have to be removed, and the Corns, who have for many years enjoyed looking at a wooded lot in front of their home, will now have to look at another home that they never could have anticipated. Just some key points to help to bring this on home. We believe that the approval of this minor subdivision could disrupt the overall pattern of development in this particular area by continuing to place smaller homes, smaller subdivided homes within this general, what I would characterize as rural area. We believe that that this is more so a workaround around the covenants, which again only allow for one dwelling per parcel, and that this is a way to subdivide that in order to achieve that. So in conclusion, the Lane Road neighbors aren't necessarily against progress in the area, but they want to reserve the rural character and the community stability surrounding these issues. They believe that the petition threatens the quality of life, the environment, and the planning integrity of the rural Hancock County area, and they would request that the APC deny this replat petition. Thank you.
This letter that came late, you wrote this, that we're talking about, this letter that came in late?
Yes, and yes, my assistant put an extra period in Director Brooks's email, I believe, and she didn't get we submitted it 11:30 a.m. and we didn't get the notice that it wasn't submitted until Saturday morning when it was already too late.
Okay. Was there anything specific in there that we didn't just hear in your testimony?
There are pictures and there are illustrations, and of course the plat that everyone, I don't know if the commission would like to get their eyes on that as well, but I attached that as an exhibit as well, the original plat, and not the very large printing format. And if that were to be the case, we would request a 30-day continuance.
So to confirm, you think perhaps that your appeal would be prejudiced if we didn't see that package?
I think that the package adds a little bit of further character to the photos. Otherwise, the substantive portions of my comments are all still there, but it does give you the plat, and I did lay it out what I would think is very nicely and uniformly throughout the letter.
You talked about how developing it will add more traffic and more issues, and it changes the character of the area. But I know you may not be able to answer this as well as your clients, but what about that nursing home? I mean, there were a lot of vehicles there. It seems like people must come and go quite a bit. I know usually if I've ever traversed on Lane Road, which is only about 3 or 4 times in my whole life, there's not much traffic. It's a very small road compared to most roads. I just question how your argument of character changing. I mean, unless the woods holds a lot of water or gets flooded a lot. I never heard that comment yet. I know that happens quite a bit in Hancock County. But I guess, I mean, I'm just trying to grasp what you mean by change of character with that lot changing.
Right now, that lot is full. I mean, it's 2 acres. It's fully wooded. You can see from I believe some of the photos, maybe from the staff report, maybe had some, I definitely know in my packet I had some photos that showed the wooded area and the wooded nature of it. I think what more concerning is the domino effect of this type of issue. And to your point about traffic, of course, I understand that one residential home is not the same as building a community center or a school or something like that that's going to receive probably hundreds of vehicles per day. But I think any time that you put heavy equipment in there, especially when you're talking about the tree removal equipment, site equipment, things like that, that it's going to have an impact on the roadway regardless. And we just think that it could be a development pattern that could continue to see through different parts of the area if this were to be approved.
Obviously, there's a lot of fields there, corn and soybeans still. Does your clients have any opinion? A lot of times, when you're doing planning, you're trying to figure out what the future use would be. Obviously, those fields are probably going to be sold and developed. I'm guessing they don't want industrial buildings next to them, neither would I. So I'm wondering what they vision then for that, or have you discussed that with your clients at all?
I have not discussed that with my clients necessarily, sir, but I guess I would say that in my general characteristics or my general feeling would be is that whatever would keep the rural, natural aesthetics of the area large, what I would call estate-sized lots. I mean, that's essentially what these are estate-sized lots. Keeping with that general character, larger homes, accessory buildings such as barns, hobby farms, things like that may be more appropriate, I would believe, in that general area. I'm getting a lot of head nods, so I apologize. That is not one question I specifically, and I'm happy to have any of them come up and discuss that further with you if you'd like to hear from them.
Yeah, I think you probably have a little time left if anybody else is wanting to speak. How much time is
I got
left?
a question for Mr. Gibson.
They're
well, he'll
only
be
at
in
6 minutes,
rebuttal.
36 seconds.
Is there anybody that wants to speak in the appeal? Yeah, okay, come on up. You said we were at 6 minutes or we have 6 minutes?
Nope.
You have
You're
about-
at 6 minutes, 36 seconds.
Okay.
They'll need to be sworn in.
Yep.
Or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
J Mills, M-I-L-L-S.
Okay, go right ahead. You had about 3.5 minutes.
My wife and I own the property directly south of lot number 1. When we purchased the property, we purchased it based solely on the fact that the covenants only allowed one additional house on each of those lots that are out there. And not speaking for my neighbors, is that everybody has large parcels there on purpose. You'll see that if you've driven down there, I know you said you drove down through there. We do have wooded areas around us in different places. He talks about the wooded area that is between my property and this football field length. That particular woods can be cut down by anybody who buys the house, because that house is now for sale. It's already got somebody that is interested in buying that particular house, which will allow him, in his mind, to put another house there. I already sent him an email telling him that we will file an injunction against him if he tries to build a house there, because that specific lot, lot number 1, and the legal description is tied to the covenants, and the covenants are very clear. One residential lot, one residential home on that particular lot, just like there is on mine, which is lot number 2. That's one of the reasons we bought. When we bought the property, we knew there was going to be one house there, and that was it. There wasn't going to be another one. Our neighbors, who we've talked to a few times, we're country people. We don't really know each other very well, but we all live out there knowing the fact that what we have is what we're going to do out there. Is that we built one house. We have accessory buildings that are out there. We follow the covenants to the best of our abilities on what we're doing out there. We talk to each other. Mr. Thomas, they've lived out there for 20 years. I've only met him 3 times. All 3 times I was pulling him out of the ditch because he drove off into the road. It's the only time we've ever talked to him. Nice people as far as I know, but the simple fact is we bought that property because of the covenants that are tied to it. And I understand that you guys don't necessarily have to follow the covenants because this is about platting. Gibson and I are good friends. We talked about it. I said, we're not going to allow another house to be built there, even if we have to go outside of the government to take care of it. Based on the information that I know about it, and I work for a lot of developers, is that you guys can take that piece of property and split it up to a minor subdivision. Mr. Gibson said, I said, what about me? Why can't I do that? Well, you can, but now it's got to be a major subdivision. Why is that burden being put on me if I decide I wanted to sell my property and divide it? I wouldn't do that to any of my neighbors. That's what we bought, because we weren't going to divide it. And if you look at, if you can't see it now.
You have about 30
If
seconds.
you were there across the street, I'm sorry?
30 seconds.
You talk about the traffic. That traffic on there for that nursing home has been there for 25, 30 years. I don't know how long it is. I'm not that concerned about the traffic, because the problem is not the traffic of the subdivision or the people that are there. It is all the industrial buildings. People will start trying to go down Lane Road. Then they figure out, I don't like this road. It's too windy. It's too narrow, things like that. So, but our covenants, like I said, that's what we bought. The covenants are clear, and you should not be allowed to build another house on that piece of property.
All right, any questions?
I just wanted to tell, that's a really nice house you have there. I loved how the thing, in the
Thank you.
entryway, I like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell we work really hard to take care of our place if you've driven out by there. So, and so do all of our neighbors. So, anything else?
No. All right, thank you. Time's all expired.
Time's expired.
Did
Yep.
Gary have a question for the attorney?
Yeah, well, you've got some,
Mr. Gibson.
you got
Mr.
some
Gibson,
rebuttal time, Mike, so if you want to come up and you had any rebuttal, and then Gary's going to have a question for you.
Well, I jotted down as many notes as I could. On the Mills's property, it would be a major subdivision, but they can divide it. Matter of fact, probably less steps than what we've had to go through just to get this minor subdivision. So the zoning's in place, as is all of that property surrounding it. It's zoned R2.5, which is higher density than the properties there, and maybe that zoning's not right for that area, but that's what it is. Let me see. If you look on the map, there are 5 to 6 minor subdivisions, and you might not have anything there in the packet, but looking at the GIS today, there are 5 or 6 minor subs that have been approved in that area, maybe more, probably within the last 20 years. So I get the fact that everybody's moving away from the city, those that want to go to country lots. That started 40 years ago. So we've had this same argument for over 40 years that I build a house and then somebody else comes in. So everybody should have that same right, whether it's now or tomorrow. But it ought to be done orderly, and that's why the county has put in their zoning ordinances across the whole county. And just northeast of this property, along 500 North, there's a 40 to 50 acre parcel that's sitting there waiting for sanitary sewer and water. That's a PUD. That means they can write their own ordinance, and I think a subdivision of over 30 lots was approved several years ago when sewer and water was going to come to that site. Drainage goes to the west to an open ditch. Most times we don't work on sites that have good drainage. This one does. We have access to that. Sewer and water, that would be the biggest impact on this area. We're not asking for that, just asking for one house that, as you look in this aerial map, it goes with the density. This 2 acre lot's bigger than the house to the east of it, or would be bigger than the house to the east of it. As far as the covenant goes, that's probably bigger than me, but I think that was a typical covenant back in the day.
Are there design standards, if this were to be approved and another house constructed? Are there design standards that would be?
We'd meet the county's design.
The counties, nothing else in the.
Yeah, we don't have a house plan for that yet, so I can't speak to that.
What's your plan as far as the lot goes? I mean, are they planning on cutting the trees down, or are they just?
I think there's going to be an area for the septic system, obviously, and the new house, wherever that might be, but I think to preserve the woods is in their best interest. I can't speak for that right now. I do know that Mr. Thomas has a child that maybe has some special needs, and they've had that big house. Whether they've lived there or not, the neighbors probably know that more than me. I'm not going to speak for that. But he's needing a place to downsize. That's a big house that you've seen on that lot. So that's kind of what triggered this, I believe.
So I mean, I would wonder, why would you want to live next to people that didn't want you there? I mean, that's kind of.
I do that right now. I don't know. That I was thinking about that today, that as long as there's neighbors, we're going to do surveying.
I figured that. No, I didn't. You said there's no plan for it, but at the same time, is there any way to solve this with the neighbors? Work it out or whatever.
From what I've seen and read today, that would be hard fought, I think.
Because that's a lot of property there to say it can never be divided.
Yeah, I own 2 acres right now, and that's a lot of work. So, and he had 8 acres, and to think, and the neighbors around, whether across the street a neighbor doesn't want this now, sometime it's going to be sold, and that guy that buys that might have a different feeling, and he could do the same thing this gentleman's asking for. That's what the ordinance allows. So just because this is a 2-lot platted subdivision, and Jay makes a great point, but just because it's a platted subdivision, across the street might not be platted, and they can divide it whether they like it or not. Get that neighbor in there that wants to do it, or that guy has maybe 5 kids like me and wants a compound. I don't know.
Okay.
I was just curious, when I'm looking here, that's a lot of woods on there. There's nothing that in that covenant that would stop anybody from cutting down all that woods and just lumbering it out, is there?
That's correct, yeah.
They could just come in and cut it down tomorrow, right?
Yep. Yeah, as in any woods around.
We have no view at all.
Yeah. Right.
So it might be better to have a house there.
That's what I was thinking, because, I
Could
mean,
be.
there
That
are
way to
companies that
preserve
come
the
in-
woods, or at least get an agreement that the woods would be preserved
Right.
to a degree that they could still build a house or accessory or whatever, but.
Sure.
Would your client be open to a contingency for retaining a certain amount of woods?
I would have to ask him, but
I don't know that that could be answered today. He travels quite a bit and he's not here, so.
It'd be interesting to know.
One of the commitments I was thinking is at least, instead of just the covenant taking care of that, is just commit that there would be no other houses built on that 2 acres.
More procedural question. So we've heard that perhaps the appellant would be prejudiced by not seeing the submittal and requested maybe additional review. Would your case, what's your time frame? Is this a contingency of contract? Is it, what consequences might we have if we were to reconsider this in a future meeting?
Unfortunately, whether it takes 30 days or not, from what I've heard and what I've read today, whether it takes another 30 days for a continuance, this is going to go further than right here. I mean, I think even on our client standpoint, I'd rather a vote take place tonight and we move on. But if it's a continuance, we'll be here next month. So,
Because we will not adjudicate the covenant.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for?
answer your questions. So Mr. Thomas is selling the main property, and he does have that under contract. So by us continuing this for 30 days, it would definitely be negatively adversely affect him in that.
Which, I'm sorry, where's the contract? Lot 1 or
What's
Lot
under
1A?
contract?
Lot 1.
Lot 1 is under contract.
Lot 1B, if it was approved. It's the
Yes.
existing house.
The existing house.
Yeah.
Lot 1B.
You have a copy of the plat, the proposed plat? Yeah, it's the 5-acre tract.
I've got
This whole
Lot
tract.
1 and a Lot 1A.
It's called Lot 1.
Yeah, I think it's just.
Okay,
one on
lot
that.
1 then. Yeah,
Just-
I'm sorry,
okay.
I thought it was 1A and 1B on my sheets, so.
So he's wanting to split that too?
No.
No, it's
So
for sale.
Lot number
For
1
sale.
right now is 7.4 acres as it exists platted. As
Okay.
you can see right there, there's two different lots. That's all of Lot 1 divided into 2 lots.
Okay. Any more questions? None? All right, thank you. I have a couple questions, Rhonda, for you. If these conditions that we talked about, putting a condition of no additional subdividing, is that something that could be done? No additional subdivisions of Lot 1 or Lot 1A as a condition of the replat?
You could, I was just going to mention that the restrictive covenants that they're talking about are those are things, private agreements between private parties that we can't enforce.
Right.
It's not government's role. So you can really set that whole argument aside. And then you're looking at Kayla's staff report, which talks about what the tech committee, all the things that they required. And sounds to me that they approved those and they found that those were met. So you could look at those items again. Then you're looking at, from our standpoint, whether all the subdivision control ordinance factors were met. And Kayla would give you guidance on that. So that's really where your decision comes down, aside from the restrictive covenants, because that's nothing that we can enforce.
Right.
So can we put on conditions? Yes, I mean, you can add conditions as we normally do if you'd like to go that direction.
And then the appealing party, I think, was requesting a continuance, but I don't think we can accept a continuance request from that party.
To continue, I think the reason why we were talking about, we didn't have the memo that legal counsel had provided, and whether or not you thought that that was necessary. I think he did go over that and the contents of it, whether you thought you wanted to see that.
He mentioned a
in writing.
continuance in his presentation, but I don't think that we would accept, he doesn't have the ability to request it
Right,
from
that
his
would be up to
position.
you.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that. Okay. Yeah, and then, of course, that was the last piece of my question, was that we, just wanted to clarify that we're dealing with the division of the land only, and that the covenants are outside of our purview here. So I think our options here would be to, again, I always get this wrong, to approve the plat, because we're acting as the plat committee. So to approve it, to deny it, approve it with some conditions, or continue it.
Motion to approve the plat.
Is there a second? Okay, no second. Do we have another motion?
Motion to continue.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue this plat discussion to the August meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Opposed.
Opposed. One opposed. All right, just add whatever to the packet for next month. And we'll do it again. All right, thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3 is our Parks and Recreation impact fees. I hear from Mr. Woldridge on this one.
You already know where I stand.
I know. I thought about you the whole time I was reading it.
And I see there's a correction
Could we
on
maybe
page
ask?
2.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Because I was going to say that was wrong. I was going to call that out. There's problems with that.
Yeah.
All right. There's a correction sheet. That was all. Yeah.
Okay.
Page 2.
All right, have at it whenever you're ready.
This is Matt Eckerly with Baker Tilly.
Okay.
He'll be giving our presentation today.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good evening. As Caleb mentioned, my name is Matt Eckerly. I'm a principal with Baker Tilly with offices in Indianapolis.
He's an item. He needs to be sworn in.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And again, my name is Matt Eckerly, Eckerle. I'm a principal with Baker Tilly with offices in Indianapolis. We were engaged by the county commissioners to prepare a zone improvement plan, which is before you tonight, for the implementation of a recreation impact fee on the area of Hancock County over which you have planning and zoning jurisdiction, which is, and Rhonda, please correct me if I misspeak here, as I understand it, it's all of Hancock County excluding the unincorporated areas. Is that accurate? I know sometimes some incorporated areas have allow the county jurisdiction, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Right.
So essentially the zone improvement plan lays out the calculation of the impact fee. And the impact fee is imposed on new housing development on a per unit basis. And the simplest way to put it is it's a mechanism intended to have new development help pay for itself. And in particular with the recreation impact fee, the calculation of it is meant for the new development to pay for the additional recreational infrastructure made necessary by the new development being constructed. And we arrive at that, and really the summary of the calculation can be found on page 5, and I'll just focus on that. Happy to get in the weeds if you'd like. But really, we arrive at that by looking at a few different things. One, we look at the estimated future housing development and the resulting population. And for that information, we look at a 10-year plan horizon, and that's defined in state code as the time horizon you look at. We used housing and population estimates that are used by the county in all of its planning efforts. We want this document to be consistent with the county's other planning documents as it comes to population and housing growth. So we look at that. We also worked with Pros Consulting, which is a parks consulting firm that operates really worldwide, that worked in conjunction with the county to look at the recreational amenities that the county is looking to provide under its new parks department. And Pros provided estimates on the cost of those amenities and also level of service standard best practices. And those level of service standards are laid out on page 7 and were reviewed with an impact fee advisory committee that was impaneled by the Board of Commissioners or appointed by the Board of Commissioners and had to meet certain statutory requirements in terms of its composition. But those level of service standards that are targeted means that these are the aspirations of the county and what it would like to provide in terms of recreational amenities. And those are then broken down on a level of service basis based on population. For example, a target level of service, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page, a target ratio for neighborhood parks acreage of 5 acres per 1,000 people, a target level of service for basketball courts of 1 court for every 6,500 people. And this defines not only the recreational amenities types that the county aspires to provide, but also which types it looks to fund through the impact fee. Because the impact fee, the governance of the expenditure is pretty tightly defined in state law, that you can only fund what is made necessary by new development and what is included in the plan. So we translated those level of service standards into estimates of future needs and then estimated costs based on, again, information provided by Pros. And then also for the land acquisition information, we find that the best resource for that is just looking at recent land transactions by the county when the county's bought land for other uses. So that gives us an assumed cost per acre. And then we estimate that based on future development need or future development estimates, the target level of service ratios, we come to a calculation, and you can see it on page 12, of how much new infrastructure that is intended to be funded with impact fees will be required over that 10-year plan horizon. And we estimate that to be $1.4 million, thereabouts. Now, one thing that's important to note is that, and I apologize for jumping around, I said I was going to keep it simple, but I understand too that you haven't dealt with impact fees before. One thing that is important to note as well is, and this is laid out on page 10, the new residents, the new units can only pay for infrastructure that they make necessary. To the extent that the level of service standards that are defined by the committee and then approved by the various bodies establish current deficits. And so if you look at page 10, you'll see that we're showing a deficit of almost 14 acres for regional park acreage, a deficit of 1.39 miles of unpaved trails. Those have to be funded by means other than impact fees. And before $1 of impact fee can be spent on any of those amenities, the current deficits need to be filled. So we establish that there's approximately $1.4 million of current deficits that have to be funded through other means. And the county has advised us that the current intent, and they're not held to this, is to fund that through operating budgets that they have currently. Now, if next year they determine they want to go out and issue a bond to fund it, that doesn't change this. It's, reasonable expectations at this time. So we're establishing that there's $1.4 million of current deficits, approximately $1.4 million to meet the estimated population and housing growth over the next 10 years. And then you divide that $1.4 million, and this goes back to page 5, by the estimated future housing units, and that's single and multifamily, and you get to a fee amount of $412 per unit, which means that Once this ordinance is adopted, and it would be approved by the council, correct, Rhonda? Once
The
it's
commissioners.
No.
Commissioners.
Excuse me, I misspoke. By the commissioners, 6 months from the adoption date, it becomes effective. So just to use a round date, say that ends up being February 1st of 2026. That's the effective date. That means if someone comes in on Groundhog Day 2026 and pulls a permit for a new single-family home, an additional fee will be imposed on that applicant of $412 that will then get put into a dedicated fund established by the county auditor and then can only be spent in accordance with this plan. That ordinance would be in effect for 5 years. Even though the plan horizon is 10 years, the effective term of an ordinance is 5 years. And after that time period, the county would have to go through this process again of preparing a zone improvement plan, going through yourselves, going back to the commissioners for a new ordinance, and so on and so forth. Now, if development or parks priorities changes 2 years from now and the county determines we need to take another look at this now and not wait the full 5-year term, certainly within their ability. But again, they have to go through that entire process once again. It's a relatively flexible tool in terms of deploying it, but then once it's deployed, it's fairly restrictive. And Hancock County, the city of Greenfield has an impact fee, and there are over a dozen communities in the Indy metro area that have fees in place. They're all cities and towns. This would be the first county in the Indy metro. But they have these fees. It's long been a tool of growing communities to meet parks needs. And in our conversations with the county commissioners, with their consultants at PROS, it was determined that, in this era of not a whole lot of tools in the toolbox for local governments to fund infrastructure, especially infrastructure that's driven by new development, having as many arrows in the quiver, so to speak, would be to the county's benefit. And so that's why they were pursuing this. Happy to answer any questions. I know I kind of hopped around. There's a lot of information in this. Happy to dive into the weeds. Again, we leaned heavily on the planning and building department. Kayla was great to work with on that. There was an impact fee advisory committee that met a handful of times, and from that committee is present tonight as well. And then we leaned on legal counsel to make sure that the procedural requirements are being met and the ordinance is being drafted appropriately and that the zone improvement plan is in line.
Has this changed a little bit from the original one I got? Because I thought there was one place where there was 3 things that told us what it could be used for. Because originally when we talked about this, we were only going to use it for new stuff. But then when I read through it, there was 3 different categories. But I don't find it in this document. So.
Talking about
I'm
trails.
not sure that doesn't ring a bell on this one. There's been a fairly narrow focus, and again, looking only at the new development throughout our process.
This was strictly what the money could be used for.
Correct.
It had like A, B, C.
Byron, are you saying in the ordinance or in the zone improvement plan?
For parks, dog parks, all that,
No.
not it?
Anyway, it was something I was going to ask about, but then I couldn't find it in there.
Is that for Kayla?
As far as what this could be used for and when a impact fee would be assessed, we would be looking at utilizing it for not only new single, but also new multi.
Per unit?
Yes, per unit.
And it could be kind of in the categorization of the uses.
I thought it said somewhere where it also could be used to repair something that needs.
The impact fees cannot be used for operations and maintenance expenses.
That's what I thought.
Can only be
That's
used
why
for new
when I read
capital
that
expenditures.
category.
So a new splash pad it could be used for, or a
If
new
it's in the
playground
plan.
equipment.
If it's in the plan.
Was it in the plan?
Now, the plan has identified as the deficits, and population growth might dictate otherwise, but the categories that we are projecting it would be used for is some acreage,
Hopefully the acreage is just donations. That's my hope. That's the hope. That's the hope and goal. That's what should be.
Well,
then the question is how to put stuff there. That would be our responsibility.
Certainly, and certainly. And so what you find in a lot of communities is that impact fees become a mechanism to negotiate those donations in lieu of fee. And then that opens up the other resources for deployment to put stuff on that acreage.
So what could this money be used for?
So that would be on page 12. Neighborhood parks, regional parks, preserves and open space, and acreage, paved and unpaved trails, shelters, dog park, canoe kayak launch, and fishing dock.
So now, like this person that just came up, they were going to divide the property in two. Let's say that's all done before the impact fee is done. If they decide to put a house on that second property, do they have to pay the impact fee?
If they pull the permit after it's 6 months after the ordinance is adopted.
6 months afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things that we talked about in the advisory committee meetings was that when you're starting from zero, it's always, I think it's human nature to say, okay, there's all this stuff we want to get done.
Right.
But then when you put it down here and you look at, okay, we need splash pads, we need basketball courts, baseball diamonds, you look at the current deficits when you don't have those already in your inventory. And the gap you have to make up to start when you have inventories of zero becomes cost prohibitive to actually imposing the fee because the dog's never going to catch the tail. So you start at kind of a lower level, start with the planning process, get your procedures in place, and then as your recreational amenities evolve, you can evolve the plan with it. I think a good example of that would be Whitestown. We worked on Whitestown's first impact fee, over 15 years ago now. And they started very small, but the 2 times that they've renewed it, it's become incrementally more aggressive in the types of development they're looking to pursue in their recreational amenities because they're building the inventory. They've been working with developers to get additional things donated in, and then they're strategically using debt to fund some of the bigger ticket items in conjunction with the impact fee.
And we talked, you mentioned how no county around here's done it. It seems to me that if you're someone that's buying into county, you're like, oh, this is one less tax that I have to pay, one less fee. Some people look at it as a tax, some people look at it as a fee. So it's one less that we have to pay if we move to the county. Is there any county in Indiana that's done this, or are we doing something? We're going down a wrong rabbit hole.
Rhonda and I had talked about that. I'm not aware of any that have actually implemented it. I know of 2 that have been considering it. Warwick County very publicly had engaged an engineering firm, but I don't believe that they have imposed a fee, and I know that Porter County had been exploring it as well. We mainly see it in municipalities. I think, and this might be a little bit of Matt editorializing, so bear with me. I think it's the nature of a municipality and how these fees are imposed and managed. It's been a little more natural for them, but again, as I referenced, as counties like municipalities are facing increasing pressures on their funds, they're looking for new tools to solve those problems.
I might follow up with that with perhaps an opposite view, because the question would be, does this set the precedence for us to continue impact fees into other areas of our county? Because we don't have impact fees where it can be incredibly useful, and it's a very equitable opportunity for us to match growth in a way that is also recognizing the free market. So is this a precedent for us to extend?
It could be. And so impact fees in Indiana can be used for parks, roads, and really those are the only 2 uses that you see around the state. You see some road impact fees in municipalities in Hamilton County and elsewhere. But then also utilities like water and sewer, though my utility partners always say that there's other mechanisms that are easier to use than impact fees.
One of the options.
And then flood control are the uses. So roads and parks are what you see around Indiana. Nationally, you see a lot more uses, but the General Assembly has not given you that power.
Okay. Can I just ask a couple questions? All right. I didn't see anything about a provision for in the event of a dissolution of these funds. We assume they will always be put to the capital expenditures that we anticipate.
They have to. That's under state law.
Forever and ever. Okay. I do notice that on page 1 that it is calculated based upon the current bond capacity, but you did mention that there would be maybe an opportunity to bond some of these items. Did you take that into consideration with your calculations? If there's a supplemental bond, will we still be under the capacity?
We did not take into account any bond issues because again, on consultation with the county, there are no immediate plans to
Okay.
issue any debt.
County, we just need to remember that in the event that
Yeah,
recalculations might be,
if a
okay.
debt issuance comes up and you're looking at, okay, what's it being used for, it's helpful to compare
Okay.
what the uses.
I see a 10-year and a 5-year time frame in here, and I see 412. With the note on inflation, there's no prompt, though, to revisit the 412, and the 412 will inflate away pretty quickly and over a 10-year period.
Yes, I mean,
Okay,
You're
so the county
correct.
just has to remember to refresh this fee, all right?
yes, exactly.
I also see a pre-stated amount for the petition for appeal, which we typically handle in a different fee. I think it's $100. We typically handle that in a different schedule for an appeal and a process. So I don't know if we need to cross-reference that in our petitions and fees, which is a little bit different than what we handle typical fees.
Say that again, I care.
Who is reviewing the appeals?
So we have to establish an impact fee review board, and that will be something the commissioners will have to put in place. And then we also, in the ordinance, had to establish who would be handling the refunds. We have, by statute, we have to designate an official or like an employee. Commissioners designated, I checked this with the county attorney, that the commissioners will handle the refunds, and then the auditor is the one that will handle the return of the refunds and interest.
I was more just the fee in order to apply for an appeal. All of our fees are in schedules elsewhere, so just, as long as it's cross-referenced.
Yeah, I
Good.
think that would be a
All right.
really good idea for us to include
Good.
this in our fee schedule.
And the purpose of, in that review board, not having any of us, like we're booted, we can't be that. The purpose was to make sure there's no conflict of interest when we are reviewing and negotiating some of these approvals coming before us. Is that the issue? Is a conflict?
Never been asked that question. I would defer to council.
I can tell you right offhand what the legislative intent was behind that.
Okay. And then I think 2 more questions. What's Exhibit A? Like, what is Exhibit A?
It's the zone improvement plan. So the ordinance has a blank page, Exhibit A, and that's where you're going to plug in the Baker Tilly July 1st goes
Got it.
with it. It just came to you in 2 separate documents.
Got it. And then who's going to govern the in lieu of? That's at the commissioner's level as a recommendation from the planning commission?
For example, you're meaning if somebody comes in and says they want to do something else besides pay the fee, they want to try to build something or do something. Matt, can you explain how that works?
Yeah, each community handles it kind of in its own procedures. I think typically they go to the Parks Department, say, okay, this is what we want, then the Parks Department has to get the blessing from the Plan Commission and ultimately the
And I said,
commissioners here. Sorry, I'm used to working with
got it. And so this, assuming that this might set precedents for us in the future, 412, which is the max fee, what if we do want to look at other infrastructure such as roads? Did the advisory committee take into consideration that this could be precedent setting for other impact fees that in total might surpass a grand or more?
Well, and I know that road fees had been discussed at the commissioners level, and I believe the decision was made when they engaged us was to focus on parks to start, but leave the door open for others. And it is common, like I said, in Fishers, Zionsville, where they have road impact fees, they do look at them in total. In Baggy, when they come and talk about them, they look at them in total. And Carmel is actually explicit in that we only have a park impact fee. We're not doing road impact fees. That's why our park impact fee is higher. So I think it is precedent setting, and then as other fees are explored and perhaps layered on, it's going to be looked at in totality. But this specific tasking was for parks.
Yeah.
And the county would have to build a whole new zone improvement plan for roads, separate from this one.
But perhaps that's the pathway for that, and there's an amendment process that the parks can be taken in totality with the other impact fees if passed. So that, I think that's dealt with nicely. Great, those are my questions, thank you.
Yeah, I have a few questions. First of all, I think this is awesome that we're going to have a county-wide park system. It's really well needed. I know a lot of work's gone into it, so I want to commend all those involved. I was sort of curious about when you're pulling together the numbers, specifically because all the areas around the county are growing. So I wondered about annexation as the towns became bigger? Does that shrink the numbers that you're going to have to work with? Was that considered in some of your numbers and pulling together? And does that make an impact in the numbers that we're going to have to work with in the 5-year period? And will that impact, and then along with that, I know you said it excluded the unincorporated areas in some of those figures in the beginning. So I guess my question is, like, the dollars that are going to be captured, will projects take place only in the incorporated areas, or will we see park projects take place outside of the incorporated areas? Or like, how have you got that far?
So to start with the first question, this is looking at the unincorporated areas. You don't have jurisdiction over Greenfield or McCordsville, for example. So this is just looking at the unincorporated areas. And in theory, the expenditure of these dollars is limited to where you have jurisdiction, though, and I haven't run into this explicitly. It might be something you'd have to explore with council. If there was a project that was in an incorporated area, but it was determined that there was a nexus to the development that's making it necessary, where, I think about, I live in Carmel, and Coxwell Gardens is a county park that's in the city of Carmel. So if you were spending on that, even though it's in an incorporated area, but you're demonstrating that it's serving the residents who are paying the fee, you might be able to get there. But that would be something you'd have to kind of plan through with legal counsel and make sure it's defensible. For any of these expenditures, you need to justify what we're spending is driven by the development that's paying, called the rational nexus test. So you've got to draw that linkage. So I don't think it's impossible to spend in an incorporated area. You just have to be able to show how that's serving the residents. Kayla can speak to the synthesis of the development estimates and the population estimates as it relates to potential annexations, things like that.
Annexation was something that we discussed as we were looking at our priorities for what impact fees should go toward funding. So, for example, you'll see that our impact fee amenities include purchase of nature areas, preserves, open space, really things that are just preserving open space right now, acquiring that land, and maybe it stays just nature preserve, open space, maybe it gets developed into more of a developed park in the future if residential growth occurs around it. But we are putting a pin in this right now that we need to start preserving park spaces in Hancock County. You'll also see that we have established a priority on trails, as well as canoe and kayak launch and fishing dock, things that are basically linear. So think about our water bodies that crisscross the county and our planned trail routes. These are things that really serve the larger unincorporated Hancock County and really stay rural and natural long-term. That was part of the reason we did not focus on more neighborhood-type amenities like playgrounds, apart from also the maintenance need that those would require, acquiring land, laying out rustic trails. These all seemed in keeping with our county park system's kind of starting out mission, as well as just establishing a foothold in what parks in a county setting might look like.
I just wanted to say that Johnson County does have road impact fees, because I looked at one of their ordinances and trying to tweak this one. And I was also told that Hamilton County and Lake County do. I haven't been able to confirm that Hamilton does. I know that cities within Hamilton do, but I haven't been able to confirm. I know there are a couple
cities in Lake County that do, so perhaps people are.
Right. But I can tell you Johnson County has, I confirmed that. They have road impact fees there.
In regards to any of the cities, have they ever applied the park impact fee to any commercial or industrial properties?
I have not seen that. It's harder to draw the nexus.
Because I mean, it seems like we're shifting, and in Hancock County, unfortunately, our predecessors, to me and Gary, it seems like they've shifted the burden of taxes onto residential, and this is just another tax on our residents that I know I just don't like as an elected official. It's like, I just don't want to tax people anymore. They're feeling it.
The other impact fees will be focused on development, though, if we went down those paths.
Road impact fees are generally assessed on a per trip generated basis.
Okay.
And it's more, from what I've seen elsewhere, it's more heavily weighted towards commercial, and those just generate a heck of a lot more trips. Yeah, park impact fees, we've explored it. We've been asked the question before and not found anyone comfortable with going down that path. Do I understand the question?
How does this affect Shirley?
Does Shirley have its own planning and zoning, or are they under your jurisdiction?
Under here.
So this would be applied in the town of Shirley then. So people who are pulling permits in Shirley would have to pay it.
That's actually a great question.
I don't think so. It's on the unincorporated areas. is the
Oh,
way
you
I read
only
it.
did unincorporated? Oh, okay. I apologize. If it's not so it's only on in the unincorporated areas.
Okay.
I apologize.
So it wouldn't be Shirley or
Spring
Spring
Lake.
Lake? Okay.
I used to answer
But the
questions. It's easier.
commissioners did just invest in property in Shirley because they don't have the money to do it. So we bought it around the trail up there. They're going to maintain it.
Really already has the beginnings of a very nice party system.
Yeah. So just a kind of maybe a sidebar question. The theory is because you can only use the money on new capital expenditures. If a person builds a new residence, they pay their $412, you go and build a fishing dock or put up a sign or something. The idea is that the new assessed value, the new taxes coming in off of that new home pays the maintenance, essentially in theory, for these new things. That's what I've not been able to figure out. Like, are we just adding more things for the county to have to maintain and have to pay for? Or?
And I think that's part of the point that Kayla made was keeping it limited to start, recognizing that this creates a mechanism to fund the new item, but it doesn't create a mechanism to operate and maintain it. And because of levy controls on property taxes and everything like that, you're dealing with a limited budget for that. So they didn't want to get out over their skis, so to speak, in terms of amenities.
Yeah, because I know when this all first started, everybody kept trying to reel it in. It's like preservation. Kayla talked about we're talking about preserve areas here, not splash pads and swimming pools that cost a lot of money to maintain.
And that's something that as you develop the infrastructure, and build more of a budget for the Parks Department, you might end up in a position where you can afford to assume additional maintenance costs for some of those larger amenities. But the strategic decision here was to keep it limited in scope so you weren't creating burdens on other departments to maintain.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even though there might be a levy or a cap on the millage rate, there's a direct impact to assessed value with the additional amenities, which has an overall increase in the ad valorem that can fund the maintenance. And that's the thought, right? Because you're giving things that people want to go to and will, it's just it's additional taxation through the assessed value.
You're just not seeing a one-to-one growth in dollars generated to the through property taxes from the new assessed value because you do have those maximum levy limitations. It doesn't keep up.
Yeah.
But you still want to drive that growth as much as possible because if you don't grow, your levies will keep increasing, your rates will just go up and you'll hit the caps more and lose more money. So it's all interconnected, to your point.
The other thing that's so interesting is the theory behind the Planning Commission being involved in something like this. It becomes kind of like RDC. It's like I'm still a little baffled by this board's involvement in the approval of an ordinance or the recommendation of an approval of an ordinance for an impact fee.
Right, so this follows the 600 series in the Planning and Zoning Code, which is the way we typically approve an ordinance for a rezone or a text change. In this case, it was a little different because the commissioners initiated this ordinance and then they have to send it to us. And then we start going through the 600 series, which is where you're going to make a favorable, unfavorable, or no.
A checks and balances, basically.
Right. But our fingerprints will be all over the in lieu of, right? We're going to be making recommendations on a pocket park in lieu of that, and we're going to be first up on that. We're like frontline. That's why I'm guessing we can't be on that board, because we would be conflicted
Probably so.
we have to recuse, so, I mean, that, it makes sense for us to know and understand what we're passing, because all these are gonna come to us.
And just for clarification, because I missed it, I'm sure. So what exempts commercial property from participating in this?
It's not as much as it's well, it goes kind of down the theory rabbit hole a little bit. You have to draw that nexus between that type of development and the increase for new amenities, recreation amenities to serve. And the theory, and I've looked at this nationally over the years, the theory is that it's very easy to say more apartments, more housing units, whatever the type of single family housing, that's going to bring new people into the community, and that is going to increase parks and recreation amenities. It's harder to draw that nexus of, okay, if you have a new factory, how does that drive the need for additional recreational? There's not that kind of population test. It's a little more linear than what.
But doesn't that go to what our economic developers say, that quality of life, quality of place? Because that's what they keep on telling us that we need to do for them, so they can be able to bring those companies and corporations in.
I completely understand that argument, and actually I spend most of my time on economic development issues, and I definitely see, and you know, not just, you know, industrial development, but, you know, such a focus on, you know, I live next to Westfield. There's Grand Park. That's bringing so many people in who are using the parks. It's just drawing the nexus to justify the imposition of.
Sure. So maybe it's just we need to do a paradigm shift.
Well, and I think we're always looking for better ways to skin the cat, pardon the expression. So if we come across, you know, data that we can then draw upon that shows that connection, that nexus between non-residential development types and the increased need for recreational amenities, I just haven't found it yet. And if you find something, and what, you know, we're asking the folks at Pros all the time, looking for best practices.
I guess you could look at it like we've done it with our trails, and I bet they do it in Carmel. I'm thinking about Carmel. I mean, because you guys got splash pad and things. And so if I go up there and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go shopping at Whole Foods, and the kids are like, can we come along and go to the park first? So like, okay, let's go to Carmel. We go to a park there. So now I've gone from New Pal, where I live, to Carmel's Park before I go to Whole Foods, because there's no Whole Foods near us. So so there's got to be a way. What they do with our trails is they look at who's parking in the parking lot. It's like the Geist waterfront. I think they charge now.
Yeah, they do.
Which is a terrible idea. But not to get into that rabbit hole. But yeah, I think they can do that, is start looking at the cars that are coming to your parking lot and seeing that, oh, my car says 30 on the license plate, not 29.
Sure. I know, because we've worked with Carmel on their last two iterations. They look strictly at residential development there. I understand the point you're making. I think one of the things there, and maybe it's a good thought exercise working with some of the folks in Carmel or elsewhere here, is thinking about how can you efficiently track that to then generate the data that can justify the calculation and then imposition of the fee.
I think it'd be the car thing.
Yeah, it could be the car, but then you could go into, well, how many people are in this kind of car versus that kind of car? Because it all has to hold up under statute. I mean, I think it's a great thought exercise, and I think I'm going to ask one of our interns to do some research when I get into the office tomorrow to see if they find anything new this time around. I think there's a kernel there. Definitely.
Well, I guess I was just not to give you down the rabbit hole, but you know, our hospital's done a lot of extensive research. I mean, we're the healthiest county. I know you sit on that board, but we're the third healthiest county in the state of Indiana.
Highest
and
as
so
we've ever been.
I think that's right. Is that right? Lacey sits on that board. And I know that our employers, that impacts their health cost, which is economic development. And so having a healthy community impacts health costs, which is economic development. Having a park system creates recreation opportunities for their employees, which goes round circles. So them contributing to a healthy park system helps reduce their costs. So, I mean, doesn't that help them pay impact fees for our park system?
I completely understand it. I think it all comes down to those. You need to have that data that justifies it. Like For road impact fees, I said it's based on trips generated. The reference is it's like the International Institute of Transportation Engineers has a trip generation manual. It's like 1,000 pages thick, which is like thorough data and research on that topic that you can draw a reliable nexus. I have not seen anything, but I'm open to looking for similar data that would be defensible, which I think is a key in all of this, that applies to recreational amenities.
I guess I was just thinking, Matt, if we're the first county that's sort of doing this, why don't we be the first county that ties economic development to the parks?
I think, just continuing to explore those things and.
Sometimes a pathway to that is a voluntary contribution in the discussions for a PUD for a mixed use or a commercial. Maybe we have a new parks impact fee, and so that could be a part of larger discussions in economic development, and to come along with us because your employees will be utilizing these as well. So maybe it's a less statutory and more economic development negotiation.
And I see. I work a lot with counties that have been dealing with wind and solar over the past, 15 years or so. And one of the common mechanisms in those agreements is an economic impact payment or an economic development payment, recognizing the economic opportunity generated by wind and solar isn't analogous to tier 1 auto manufacturer or something like that. And so they make payments based on the scope of the project to the county that the county then can deploy at its will on other economic development projects around the county. And I work with White County, for example, and they've used it for everything from public safety to recreation, things like that. So there's precedents for things like that outside of the impact fee where you could negotiate, fees associated with economic development that can then be deployed strategically outside of the relatively limited scope under statute that's available to you for.
Actually, we've got economic development agreements.
Yeah.
With the buildings out there.
Now you can add.
We just got, I think, the first payment in. So and it's going to help fund police and fire and all that kind of stuff. So.
And it could do parks in the future.
It possibly could.
Yeah, or roads.
Yeah,
because when we were looking at the data center, the first thing to come up, could we put a park up there between Tuttle's and the building? That come up immediately.
We used to do it for public art. You know what I mean?
It can be done.
Fees for
Yeah.
public art. So.
We just have to do it.
Yeah, it can definitely be done, and it doesn't have to be an impact fee, though it could end up being equivalent depending on how you structure it. Yeah, we see that all over the state, and more municipalities are starting to look at that honestly, too.
Thank you.
Oh, this is good. I like the philosophical discussions too.
Well, it's a good big picture discussion, but I think what's in front of us here is the commissioners are wanting something to get started so they can maintain what they've got, right? Or preserve some things, preserve some land.
On new stuff.
Yeah, to get the ball rolling. So, and that's what this fee is determined by, is those baby steps, right? So.
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Well, no, you can't.
Oh, you can't?
You have to do it. It's an open public meeting.
Right.
He's got to
We've got to have,
public.
Oh, sorry.
There are
So-
5 people in the audience.
I'm sorry. I was sorry.
We got Larry out there. He's
We've got Larry. He's going to get up here. He hasn't talked
Sorry,
today.
Larry.
Yeah.
Don't want
Well,
to squeeze his thunder.
so that was our staff report and our petitioner. The commissioners were the petitioner, so this would be remonstrance. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
whatever.
Or whatever, okay.
Support
Larry's
or
positive.
Larry fits into everything.
Public comment.
Sorry.
You swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Larry Sedam, S-E-D-A-M. I know this is in a roundabout way. It's a tax. It's a tax on a new house. You know what? For a change, Larry's for this. It's
Hold on, Larry. You're killing me, man.
It's a fee to complete trails and parks. Developers are selling that they have access to the parks and the trails. 100, you and I talked about, there's a development on 100. He's selling that he has access to the Pensy Trail. Drive down 40, right by Cumberland. What do they have? The townhouses on the Pensy Trail. Go down the Pensy Trail, all these housing additions have what? Access to the Pensy Trail. Are they paying for it? No. They've got access to our public land and are not paying for it. I came from Marion County. No, it doesn't look like it, but I used to love the Monon Trail. I would ride the Monon Trail up to ends in Westfield, Garfield Park to Westfield. It's a great bike ride. Or take the one to on Fall Creek Parkway. Another great ride. Just want to ride it early in the morning. So, the fact is, I came to Hancock County, start pedaling on the Pensy Trail, and just kind of like the Monon in Westfield, it ends. With a little sign says, future development, and it gives little sections on what they do. And to click on it or call or go to the website and see what you can do. See how you can support it. I was shocked. It's not supported by the government. We have a private group that does all kinds of things to get money to do the trail. Yes, it's great. We're missing 1.5 miles now. Can you imagine riding from the other side of Greenfield clear down to downtown? It's great to hop on the bike and go from 600 all the way down to Irvington. It's a great ride. Do it. Grab the new part of the trail, which, again, private donations donated a lot of that land. You know, you go from 400 to 300. You stop.
I think didn't they just complete that?
Yes.
They're working on it right now, yeah.
No, I did it Sunday.
300.
I did it Sunday. It's a great walk. Let's be passionate about this. Let's let basically development pay for what they're selling. You can't tell me that all these apartments that are built over there in the new development off of the highway are not selling, how great Hancock County is and how great this is. We've got the health centers, we got trails, we got parks, but we're not paying for them. But come on, let's make it fair. Not just them, to your point, make development pay for it too. How about this? A data center. Let's ask them to pony up $1 million for they're after all, they're going to make that $1 million in a heartbeat. If we're going to let a data center in here or let someone develop something like that, pony up. Let's get the money that we deserve. Let's finish it. We are the fastest growing county. We're so proud of that. People expect these amenities.
Yeah, they do.
They expect the parks. They expect the trails. Maybe they don't expect a splash pad, but
we'll let the cities do that.
Yeah, Greenfield's got it. Yeah. I go to it.
and that's my point here. Just, and I did the study. I hate to say it. I stood on the trail for, 2 or 3 hours, asked people, where are you from? You'd be amazed at how many people were from just hopping on the trail. They weren't in, they weren't driving. They weren't like me, have to drive to the trail. They were hopping on the trail, along the trail. You take the Pensy, and you end up going that little trail that goes south and ends up at the soccer fields. Great little ride, great little walk. Be passionate about this. We've got something good. We need to make sure everybody pays for it that is developing it. That includes the apartments, the condos. If it's got a door and it's going to have people in it, they should have to pay for it. Hate to even say it. If a hotel's developing here, something. We need, if we can't get it through our houses, we need to make sure our developers are paying for it. The other part is, every time we develop an area with the houses that could help pay for it, Cumberland, Greenfield, McCordsville, they annex it. You're not going to gain anything. Hate to say it. We will not gain anything if we just do the houses. you're going to have to hit at everybody else too. That's just my opinion. You look at Greenfield, you look at Cumberland, they got great trails. You go in the fall, there's a guy sweeping the thing with the little Kubota. You know, he's trail off the leaves so nobody gets hurt. You know, yeah, that's all maintenance, but you know, they have the money to do it because they have the dense population. You don't have that. You walk, I mean, from in Greenfield, hop the trail, take it out to the center out there at 300. What's that? Begins with a B. Where the dog park is.
Eckenholt?
Yes. I mean, you can walk, you can bike, you can pretty much cover any part of Greenfield you want. You can hop the whatever. But we just need it. The other example I want to use is when the Monon first got built, you went to pretty sketchy neighborhoods, especially from south, as soon as you caught it by I want to say 10th Street, right past, in downtown, right when it hits downtown. I mean, you went some rough neighborhoods. You go by that now, you can't afford it. You couldn't afford a lot. And you look at what's being developed along some of these trails, it's growth. And that's kind of where you go. So the other part is you buy land now. It's growing too much. You won't be able to afford a park 10 years from now. You really won't. I am totally in support of taxing development and not just houses, especially not just houses, because they're going to get annexed anyway. That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Questions?
Anybody
Comments? Anyone else?
We do have one government official here tonight. Our park board president, Miriam Morales, is here. She is also a local realtor and special projects lead for the Board of Commissioners. So if anybody has any questions, or here, I'll let her speak.
Okay. We need to probably swear you in. Yep.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It is.
So,
Miriam
state-
Morales, and it's Rolles. I didn't have any intention of speaking tonight, but I would like to say that I've been with the county since June of '23, and I was approached to ask to start participating and implementing a park board, which we've done. And there's a lot of really great projects on the horizon. There was a purchase of the railroad bed up in Shirley for us, and I've worked with Teresa Hester. Is that your wife? Very nice gal. And anyway, we got a deal with Mr. Sorowski, and Mr. Sorowski wanted to put a memorial bench or some sort of a placard up to identify his heritage, his legacy. And we got an MOU with the town of Shirley, and that was to cut the grass and make sure that the place is really nice. And there was some ruts that we found, which was not really great for their lawnmowers. And there's a lot of groundhogs up there. So we're going to try to capture the groundhogs. And we were able to vacate Pennsylvania Street in between the area where the ruts were happening, and not that they're not driving over that still, but the thought is we're going to beautify that area and put a nice fence up there. I've been working on several grants. One is the White Family Fund grant, and that is to help put the fence up and put some really nice landscaping flowers that are resistant to groundhogs and to rabbits. But we also are working with 9-Star. I'll go away from Shirley right now, but we're working with 9-Star right now for a donation of 53 acres right off of the brand new section of 300 West to 400. It's a really beautiful property. If you do get a chance to go out to 300 West on that trail, I think it's the most scenic spot. But they're going to be putting up a water treatment facility there, and it'll almost look like Beck and Holt. So if we are able to get that donation from them, we'll move forward and have that nice collaboration. I've been calling it 9-Star Park, but I don't know if it'll stay that name or whatever, but a trail will run through it, and I've also applied for the ITP grant, which is about a $400,000 grant for that trail. So we have a lot of things, and I've got a lot of support, and the highway works really hard to help, and you've seen what they've done, the highway's done with the Pennsy Trail. That's a lot of capital money that they've got through NDOT funds. So kudos to them. I'm not really sure, do you guys have any questions for me about the park board? Not department yet, but board at all?
Well, I got more questions about what you were discussing, and we were
Yes.
discussing that last night with the commissioner, So are you talking about at 300 where they're going to come there at Skillman's and go south to 100 South?
Yeah, I think
Correct.
so, yeah.
Or you thinking, is that where you're talking about having the park, where they're talking about maybe putting kayaks in the water?
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty far down the road. We really need to look at all different views of that property. The engineer at NSTAR is going to create a exception, we'll call it. That's a legal description that will be taking away from the 53 acres because they're going to retain 11 for their water treatment facility, and then they'll have easements for their wellheads and their
How many acres is it again?
53.
53?
Minus the 11, and then we'll have an easement to give them perpetual well and waterhead rights. This is my vision, because I'm a visionary person. There's also a artesian well on that property that's right next to the trail, and it'd be really cool to have a pump house like they have at 116th Street for those that are on the trail. As they ride their bike or walk by in that very beautiful area, they can possibly stop and fill up their water jugs and things like that. But
So where do you see the trail going from 300?
you mean if it goes back? It's at some point we're hoping it will connect from 150 to 300, but I'm not involved with that. I'm only involved with the parks part because there's a capital grant, I believe, on that through the highway that I'm not a part of, between 150 and 300. So parks doesn't have anything to do with capital grants, which are.
The highway department.
Yes. Park board doesn't have any money. Now, if we'd have done this impact fee 2 years ago, we'd have had $70,000 by now, because there were 101 new home builds last year, and we've got about 68 new home builds this year, and that's about $70,000 that we could build shelter houses and vault toilets and different things for the county and amenities, that are underserved right now.
But I wouldn't
parks.
recommend everybody running over to 300 and driving down to see the trail, because that's
There's- well,
rather
there-
narrow right there.
Well, and there's nowhere to park right now.
There's nowhere to park and there's nowhere to turn around.
Right. But the idea is to continue on to 150 from that area. It's just we'll have to have acquisition go through there. So, but right now, if you go to 400, and then if we are able to get the donation, the easement from 300 West that is connected to 9-Star would allow us to drive in and create a parking lot there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I do want to say that I appreciate you guys considering this and moving it forward. It will be very impactful.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
But, it's just someone else that asked a question. So there where the graves are at, how far do you have to stay away from those?
That would be a state standard that I'm not familiar with.
Okay. That's what I was wondering what the standard
I would
is.
lean on an engineer or a design firm that's going to take that through there. So,
That was what they were trying to figure out, what the standard is for those graves.
sure. The ones that I think you're talking about is at the Dye Cemetery. Yeah, that's a beautiful cemetery of settlement children. They're from ages 1 to like 16 from they're the settlement, kids from the settlements back in the early 1800s. So, the Parks Department, I'm just going to say, is very, very grateful to the Plan Commission for even considering these impact fees. So I believe that while it's the final decision rests with the Board of Commissioners, that my board is proud of the progress we've made and the collaboration we're continuing to make with other towns and cities and moving forward with the parks. So I think that's it.
Any questions? Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Nope. Good. All right. All right. So what we're looking at is a recommendation here to the commissioners.
Yeah.
Oh, there was
Could
a
I
correction.
address that
Sorry. Yes.
real quickly? So I thought it'd be easiest. I have 4 changes in the recitals that I'd like for you to adopt before this ordinance moves on forward. They're all on page 2. The first one is just a misspelling of the word capital. And I'm taking out the reference to county council. The Board of Commissioners is the legislative body, and they're the ones that deliberated on this and actually approved the zone improvement plan at one of the recent meetings. So I wanted to make that clarification. Therefore, I had to redefine Hancock County Council in the next whereas clause, and I just clarified that it's the Hancock County Area Plan Commission. So those are just really Scrivener's corrections, and I would appreciate it if you take a motion to adopt those changes before it moves on to the commissioners.
We need to redefine with the parenthesis of council. Is that used anywhere else? To carry that down from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th whereas to the 7th or the 6th?
I don't think I had used council again, other than,
That, just right there? Okay.
did we use it again? Yeah, I don't think I used
I
it again.
don't think so, because council had
Yeah.
nothing to do with this.
Right.
There's no
I
reason
think
to
I
have
only used it
council
one
in there,
time, so that's
Then
why
we
I
don't need
didn't define it.
although it is a tax, that council should have.
Easy there,
We'll note
killer.
too that if you look at section 1 of this, it does expire in 5 years. So this ordinance automatically expires in 5 years. And you can go back and readopt another one, but it gives us a chance then to look again to see if we want to change anything up.
Would you accept a combined motion for approval and adoption of the 4 changes as presented?
That's fine, you can do it like that if you'd like.
A recommendation for approval to the council as presented, incorporating.
commissioners.
To the commissioners. Oh, man, I was on council. It's the commissioners.
So we need to adopt
She just made a motion.
these corrections and then make a recommendation, right? So you're trying to do that all in one motion?
Well, that's true. Yes. Let's do adoption of the changes first to the ordinance and then do the recommendation, since it is a recommendation and not.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to adopt the changes as presented by our council.
Second.
All right, then moved and seconded to adopt the changes as presented by council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sign. And now we'll hear any other
For
motions.
favorable approval to the commissioners for the amended package.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for a favorable recommendation of the impact fee ordinance to the Board of Commissioners, and we'll do a roll call on that.
Yes.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Oldham?
Yes.
Mr. Holden?
No.
Out?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Passes. Can't do math tonight. Passes, all right. All right, thank you. That concludes our hearing items for this evening. You guys need a break before we move on to other business? Are you ready? You good to go? All right, good to go. Other business. Item number 1, ordinance text amendment for subdivision control ordinance revision review. A mouthful.
An amendment was offered by the Board of Commissioners to the amendment to the technical review and plat committee procedures that Rhonda had presented. However, legal is working with our legal to basically figure out what that needs to look like. Additionally, the decision was made by the Board of Commissioners to hold off on any changes to the accessory structure ordinance. So that was not brought back up.
Right, I think an amendment was prepared to remove the accessory structure portion of the ordinance, and I think that's where things ended, and then it should be back on your agenda for the next meeting.
I don't know if it is yet or not,
Okay,
but
okay.
I don't get
Isn't that
that
part of the
agenda until
UDO?
this week.
Yes. It'll get handled one way or another.
Trying to
It's part of
accelerate some
UDO,
things.
just do it in UDO.
Well, we're just, I think, trying to accelerate some things.
Oh, okay.
Take some burden off.
Quick question about the technical committee. We've just been called to task on this appeal process more frequently than in history. Is this addressing that issue or no?
Let me see, I'm trying to go back to my memory about what we were doing here with, we were fine tuning some of the procedural steps on
Notice.
when Kayla would make a determination of whether it went to plat or whether it would come here. So there is some statutory guidance on that we have to follow depending on whether or not it meets the subdivision control ordinance and whether it complies. And then it's kind of like you go down this decision tree and Kayla would be making those decisions, whether she wants to send this, like one of these petitions directly here or whether it would go to plat. I think in the UDO it's drafted that it always comes here to Plan Commission as the UDO is drafted right now. So a little bit of a procedural change. But yes, it does kind of address that.
Thank you.
Okay, so no action on item 1 this evening then? So-
No.
Okay, item 2, UDO update.
So I was showing Lacey before the meeting started that I've been working on a side-by-side comparison, starting with the table of contents, to show how, here's our new table of contents, kind of how things are addressed, and then digging down into those topics and lining them up with sections of our existing ordinance. So it's not a pretty document, but it's the start for a more of an in-depth comparison than as far as content goes. Now we know if we want to see how content-wise you can compare our old sign ordinance to our new sign ordinance, here are the 2 or 3 sections that were, merged together to form this new one. Okay. And we can then use that to look at the content and say, okay, I see here, we took this section, and this section. Okay, this is a new section. This, we can compare like that. So it'll be easier to take section by section and line them up side by side. So it at least gives us a foundation to do a side-by-side comparison. That's my update for this month.
Okay. So what, I guess like timing wise, this is probably as you have time, so it's hard to put a time frame on it, but what's like your goal to start having some of things to share more officially?
It's hard to tell.
Okay. Okay.
Is this something we might have done by the end of the year?
I really hope so.
Okay.
I would love.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
Because isn't Rhonda doing legal review too?
So we went through and Greg reviewed it and we spent 8 hours or something of just on 4 Zoom calls or something that were 2 or 3 hours each. And he went through and did that, but now I want to look at the structure of it and making sure that we've, an existing code, like a couple of my concerns were just putting it in context and making sure everybody knows, at least the legislative body knows what we're changing, and here's how the current statute reads, and here's what we're changing in the UDO. But we have to kind of lay that out side by side, so that's what Kayla's talking about. That is kind of a big task because we have 2 very different documents now. And then trying to get a handle on that and being able to present it in a way that you can comprehend it and put it into context. is kind of where we are. And so I was asking for some guidance before I start digging in, and we're making a lot of changes, possibly, or maybe some changes. Should I hold off on that, doing any further legal review and incurring more costs until we get a handle on this part of it? Yeah.
So I guess that is a good question. So the process of the UDO, so we hired the consultant, they embarked on this. One of the pieces of that was actually in their scope of work was to develop the steering committee. The steering committee was having meetings, and this is where some of these changes happened. So in my mind, we were going to get to this point where we had this draft UDO that had these changes in it, and we were going to read it, make a recommendation to the commissioners. The commissioners are going to read it, approve it. I think there was a lot of confusion as to what was changed, and that's where we all started hitting the brakes, and we're like, okay, now we're all confused. How are we going to? So that's kind of where we are now, I guess, right? So it's such a different document. It's hard to really digest the two things side by side. So that's, I guess, ultimately that's how we got to where we are today. I don't think. Maybe I just needed to say that out loud so that I understood it myself, but that's kind of how we got to where we are, I believe. And there are changes, there are definitely changes, and it's important for this board to be able to recognize those because you're voting on zoning changes. And then the commissioners will be doing the same, approving them. So it's this comparison is a piece that was kind of not there. And so I guess Kayla's going to share that burden there, so and help to digest it for us. So, all right, UDO. That's it for the UDO this month. Quality of place plan discussion.
That I don't have anything new to offer today. I would say that there's going to be a civic circle session tomorrow at the Community Foundation. If any of you are involved in that, where
The invite that I just got.
Yeah, I got it too, so.
Okay. So they're going to be discussing that document there a little bit with the consultant that put it together. So I'm planning on attending what I can of that, just as a refresh.
It's also saying it's a Teams meeting.
Well, if you're able to attend by Teams, that would be lovely. Did Mary Gibble or Shelley Haney send it out?
It was sent out by Brian Jaworski. Jaworski, yeah.
Is he? Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Anyway, that's my update, but I don't have anything further to show on that one today. So.
Number 4.
So on item number 4 is our Shirley interlocal agreement, draft revisions update.
It's expiring soon, so I put it back on our agenda because I am determined to get it to this board and done very soon. So I don't have anything right now, but it's on the agenda and we'll stay there until we get it done.
Is Shirley draft?
And which
She's been talking
agreement is this?
I'm staying out of this.
You're staying out of it, what do you mean?
The local agreement between the town of Shirley and Hancock County Planning Department that basically says, here is how the town of Shirley's government interacts with Hancock County's planning and building department. So here's what Shirley is responsible for. Here's what the planning and building department is responsible for. Here's how we're dividing the responsibilities of planning and zoning within the town limits of Shirley.
Do we have a similar MOU with Spring Lake?
I don't know that we do.
No, I don't think
What
we
about
ever did.
Wilkinson?
Well, not,
Don't go there.
Wilkinson,
It's a different story.
no, I don't think we ever did. I remember doing the one with Shirley years ago. It's old now, right? The date on it's old.
That's a good question.
But we probably should have one for Spring Lake, but we've never done it. Probably because we just talked to
Shirley's
Byron
doing
every
something different, because they're talking about doing some of their own things with the planning department.
Yes, they've got their
Which
own,
is-
they've got well, it's a larger footprint, a little
Yeah.
different
Well, they have
situation
law
from Spring
enforcement
Lake.
there and stuff too, and public safety that you don't have, so.
But if there is the desire by Spring Lake to do something
I
similar.
mean, there's a document they signed, that having an agreement, I don't,
And heck, that I just might not be aware of it, to be honest.
it's been a long time ago, so.
I would assume it might be recorded. We could check.
If you
I
find
mean,
anything, let me know.
You may be going back, what, I mean,
80s maybe?
I don't know, but whenever a person started appearing on this.
So what's our next?
That goes quite a few years, so.
Okay.
So what's our next step with this?
With Shirley, just some text amendments and getting the right people and pieces together
Okay,
to get it covered.
okay.
And that's just to make sure that they have a corresponding process to appoint someone here? Is that the,
Not exactly.
okay, there's more than that?
Code enforcement and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Oh, we're taking action on their behalf?
Sometimes.
Unless we're working two counties and town wants everything here. A little bit of Henry County is, send the corporation, Hancock County's taking care of it.
Some
Yeah.
conflicting language in the past and now.
Not getting rid of him.
Well, I can arrange that.
Well, I know, but
But yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
more to come.
New agenda format and procedures update.
I'm turning it over to Maria for this.
Come on
She's
up,
done a heck of
Maria.
a job on it.
Let's swear her in. No, let's not.
swear her. No, nothing down here gets sworn down. The other business does not.
So the agenda process looked a little different this month, and I just kind of want to give a quick little update of what to expect moving forward. So after conversating with Rhonda and Dawn, we kind of came up with a new system that will be what we use moving forward. So as you may saw this month, we sent out a preliminary agenda, and on there, this month didn't have any agendas, but moving forward, it will have the petition linked and any site plans that might be included. So the filing deadline is last Friday of every month, and so within that week afterwards, we'll be working to scan everything in, get things uploaded into the website, and getting things linked in and creating the agenda. And once that is completed within that week after the filing deadline, we'll be sending that to you. And then as we are working through the staff reports, we'll start adding them as well. And once we have a final agenda, we'll send that out to you, as well as uploading it to the website. And if we receive any letters before we actually finalize this, we'll add that. But depending on the cases, we might receive some after we have the final agenda sent out and posted. We'll just update that. I'll send them in the email that we have as we receive them if they meet the deadline. Yeah, that's basically the update for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the links.
I think it looks great. I used it
Yeah.
as an example today when I was speaking to the whole statewide county auditors group.
Oh, wow.
Because there's the new law that requires you to have this information along the side.
Okay.
And I showed this as a model of how they could do it. So everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's great.
That's great. I was at a seminar one time and they showed one of my documents as a what not to do. That was really way to go, Maria.
That's gonna be at the front page of the paper now. And it's all over YouTube.
Right, yeah. All right, I think that unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about, I think that comes to the end.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Good night.
No, McDaniel does.
You're not gonna beat those two.
Joy
that hard.
Jam, that's the funniest thing to me. Joy Jam.
When I first joined the council,
2:30 cups.
I never got awarded. And you say to learn
She's
how
a
to do
wild
it.
animal,
It's like
isn't
someone
she?
takes a breath, you're like, boom.
You're like, I don't care if I get.
Oh, yeah. Well, but sometimes you got questions.
But,
Oh, you asked the question today. Yeah. There you go.
That's a rarity with me.
I know.
We're gonna
It's
keep
like,
it that
it's
way.
like Judge Clarence Thomas, you know, doesn't speak much.
She really has found a good spot there.
We did